Hello, good evening, and welcome to your authoritative current affairs maritime program, Eye on Port. This program is proudly brought to you by Serene Insurance, Gulf PLC, the Ghana Revenue Authority, Ghana Link, Meridian Port Services, and Phoenix Insurance. Our proud media partner is the Business and Financial Times. This program is powered by the Ghana Ports and Harbours Authority. We are streaming live on Facebook at Ghana Ports and Harbours Authority. Also on Facebook, we are streaming live at the Port of Tema. And on YouTube, we are streaming live at Eye on Port. We'll be getting interactive in the course of this program, and the numbers to send your WhatsApp messages are 053-803-7353. 053-803-7353. Also, in the course of the program, we would activate the phone lines where you would have to call in to contribute to the program, and the number for that will be announced later. In the meantime, we're going for a quick break. We'll be right back.
Guys, now I'm tired. I'll go on a date with whoever gets here first.
Princess, really? Okay, I dey come.
Shut up!
Mame, boss, fill my tank with Super XP Ron 95.
Fill up with Super XP Ron 95 and Diesel XP high performance products from Goyle.
Sorry, Tony got here first, so I'm stepping with him.
Oh, cut him. Hey, go for mommy.
Choose Super XP Ron 95 and Diesel XP for an energizing driving experience. Always go for Goyle Super XP Ron 95. Goyle, good energy.
Goyle is good energy. Electricity, pay your taxes. Yeah, our taxes, our future.
Because you see, without our taxes, we wouldn't have good roads, good schools, better hospitals, streetlights, and other very important social amenities. When we pay our taxes, we give our children free and quality education. Talga, my money too small. Why should I pay my tax? Look, small. Salifo, it doesn't matter how small or big your business or income is. You still have to pay your taxes. The little taxes from each and every one of us, when put together, could give your community clean water or that deprived school with tables and chairs. Please pay your taxes. It is your responsibility. It is your civic duty. It is the law.
Impressive factory. If only I had listened to you, I wouldn't have been in this mess. That devastating fire virtually wiped out the whole factory and my warehouse.
Remember my misfortunes last year? Serene Insurance Asset All Risk Fire policy that I took were there to pay for my damaged stocks in the warehouse, and my machines that were affected by the floods have been replaced. My accident vehicle is back on the road thanks to Serene Insurance motor policy. Currently, my goods are on the high seas, covered with their marine cargo insurance policy. I was just telling Ajima about Serene Insurance. Oh, Ajima, tell him more.
As a road contractor, I make sure I do my contractors all risk insurance for the projects, and then workers' compensation for all the workers on site. With Serene Insurance, they will make sure they will cover your unknown tomorrow today.
Serene Insurance, a new face of insurance. Call us now.
MPS Terminal 3 is Africa's new state-of-the-art container terminal at Tema Port. For manufacturers, agro-processors and traders, the new port means business can be done faster. This infrastructure boost will improve Ghana's port handling capacity, connect more trading routes, and oil the engine of growth for the economy, creating greater opportunities across all sectors as Africa's markets merge and become the largest trading bloc globally. MPS, we connect, you thrive.
Business and life can be like the sea sometimes serene, sometimes calm. sometimes turbulent, and at times it brings the unexpected. However it is like, trust Phoenix Insurance for your home, car, business, and marine insurance needs. Call 0302 246 319 or 0243 690 492.
At Phoenix, you experience a delightful service delivered with wisdom.
So welcome back from the break. Now it's time to look at some news and activities happening within the port and maritime industry.
The Ghana Shippers Authority has held a workshop for municipal, district and agencies on how to avoid demurrage and rent charges at the ports. The workshop was used to sensitize decision makers at relevant MDAs on time-related costs associated with shipping, how to avoid them, what steps to take when the signs are clear that a consignment may be affected, as well as their role in achieving these. Also, the workshop sought to sensitize MDAs responsible for granting of exemptions and issuing of permits to shippers on the costs that delay in their processes bring to shippers, to guide them in the discharge of their duties. In a speech read on behalf of the Chief Executive Officer of Ghana Shippers Authority, Kwesi Bafo Sapon, by the Director of Operations, Sylvia Asana Dauda, attributed the decrease in demurrage costs over the past few years to government policies and collaboration of stakeholders.
The Research Department of the Ghana Shippers Authority estimated that importers in Ghana paid demurrage amounting to USD 76 million in 2017. By 2019, the amount had declined to USD 27 million, with a further decline to USD 24 million in 2022. The downward trend of these figures could not have happened without government's intervention in the cargo clearance process, such as the paperless port project and pre-arrival declaration in the items.
The head of Shippers Services and Trade Facilitation at the Ghana Shippers Authority, Monica Desire, advised on the way forward to avoid demurrage and rent charges by the MDAs.
What we believe in is sometimes you may clear your things and then you are stopped that maybe your thing has been tagged or there's intel or something. We believe that if there's a robust risk management system, these things may not be necessary, so that we allow trade to be facilitated.
The Director of Business Development and Commercial Services of Ghana Shippers Authority, Emmanuel Akon, emphasized the importance of the regular sensitization on the avoidance of demurrage.
Demurrage is avoidable. Demurrage and rent, they are twin brothers. So let's ensure that we avoid. We can do, the statistics are very interesting. It means the education is going up, but we can still do more as a country. And the processes, that there are other things that need to be done that are not in your hands, that are outside your ability to deal with. Those are the things that we are taking on.
The Marketing and Corporate Affairs Manager at the Ghana Ports and Harbours Authority, Nanesi Sodabe, encouraged freight forwarders and importers to reach out to authorities when they face challenges in the process of clearing their goods.
If in the course of clearing you are having problems, or your agent, if you are not self-declarant, you are using a clearing agent, and you are having challenges, please reach out as much as possible. If some of the things are not your fault and not within your purview, as much as we can help to mitigate, we will do so. And we have reps, Tema, Takoradi, all the areas. You will definitely get someone to help you.
There were some suggestions made by participants that government should consider putting up warehouses outside the port enclave to receive cargoes from importers who may not have resources to clear their goods on time, in order to reduce the high cost of demurrage.
The National Service Personnel Association of Ghana Ports and Harbours Authority, Tema, has organized a Women's Day celebration to honor and appreciate the roles of women who have broken barriers to become beacons of hope to the nation. The program was under the theme, Echoes of the Past, the Role of Women Through History and Culture. Otutu Abrempong Asona of Ekropong, Nana Doku Adobia I, encouraged personnel to embrace their culture as it plays a vital role in their identity as Ghanaians.
Women have really played a vital role in African history. Emia, Ghana Mbia, Ewiasimbia,
Apegusuhima Nana Adjoa Odrowa III highlighted the importance of preserving our history and values as citizens.
Respecting and celebrating the diversity of our heritage, we can build bridges between different communities and create a sense of solidarity that transcends differences.
The special guest of honor, Oheneyere Awodensua, also known as Gifty Auntie, urged women to build their own empire and empower themselves as they keep in mind who they are.
The Ghanaian woman takes bold, calculated risk. The Ghanaian woman knows that daggers will be thrown at her. Things will be said about her, but she will still move. Because wankwa ondidi. Wankwa nemba endidi. How desperate are you to make sure that you make something out of your life?
Aframanse Hima of Jakiti, Nanaya Adobia I, encouraged personnel to preserve their values and build a world that they all want.
Let's continue to cherish and celebrate and pass on our history to future generations. Let us preserve our values and just not for ourselves and build the world that we want.
The president of the National Service Personnel Association of GPHA urged personnel to commemorate the strength and resilience of Ghanaian women and work towards a future where gender equality and respect are the norm in the country.
Let us embrace the echoes of the past, celebrate the power of Ghanaian women, and strive for a future where women can reach her full potential.
Earlier, the Queen Mothers paid a courtesy call on the director of Port of Tema, Sandra Opoku, who stressed the need for women to work diligently and harness the necessary skills needed for their career journey.
GPHA, for the past 5 or more years, we've always had a number of national service. We take it as our CSR. We try to give them the skills that when they leave, they can fit in somewhere else. I always tell them that the skills that you learn from here, even if it's for a short period, it goes a long way to add to the things that your knowledge that you have acquired over the years.
All right, so away from that, let's take some international port news.
The UK government has launched a Smart Shipping Acceleration Fund to drive maritime innovation and harness the benefits of artificial intelligence for the maritime sector. On April 22, 2024, UK Maritime Minister Lord Davis of Goa revealed an €8 million in funding to support studies related to smart shipping solutions. These include self-driving boats for streamlined port operations, the use of artificial intelligence, and other innovations. The Smart Shipping Acceleration Fund will kickstart feasibility studies to develop smart shipping technologies such as AI, robotics, and autonomous vessels. Successful ports will be able to use AI to detect safety hazards, optimize port activities, and reduce their environmental footprint.
Italian shipping company Grimaldi has taken delivery of Great Abidjan, the fourth ship in a series of 6 multi-purpose ro-ro units belonging to the new G5 class. The naming and delivery ceremony for the new build took place at Hyundai Mipo Dockyard in South Korea on April 23rd. Following the delivery, Great Abidjan will soon be transporting rolling freight and containers between Northern Europe and West Africa. Compared to the previous G4 class, the new vessels have the same capacity for rolling freight and their container capacity is double.
It's now time to take the phrase of the day, and today's phrase of the day is Act of Man.
Act of Man. Act of man in water transportation refers to the deliberate sacrifice of cargo to make the vessel safe for the remaining cargo. Those sharing in the spared cargo proportionately cover the loss.
So tonight we are tackling an issue that affects all of us. I mean, in terms of taxation. So we are looking at the subject of taxation, and tonight I have in the studios Mr. Michael Edu Owusu. He's the Chief Revenue Officer, Exchange of Information Unit with the Ghana Revenue Authority. Good evening, sir.
Good evening.
Okay. We also have Dominic Nate. He's the head of monitoring domestic tax revenue division, free zones. Mr. Nate, welcome.
Thank you.
Okay, so tonight we're looking at taxation, and for income tax to sales tax. Taxes play crucial role in funding our public services and infrastructure, but with the complex laws and ever-changing regulations, it's easy to feel overwhelmed and unsure about how to navigate the tax system. Tonight, we'll be exploring the world of taxation. We'll be breaking down the basics and examining the latest development in tax policy. So I have in the studio the two experts who will be delving deeper into this particular subject. And so whether you are an individual looking to maximize your refund or a business owner trying to stay on top of your tax obligations, tonight's show is for you. So that leads me to my very first question to Mr. Owusu. Mr. Owusu, we heard about income tax on resident Ghanaians. We want to find out from you what is the rationale behind introducing the foreign income tax on resident Ghanaians, and then also how will this benefit the country?
Okay, to start with, I should say that Ghana in 2015 made very important changes to our tax legislation, shifting it from the territorial taxation basis to a worldwide taxation basis. What do I mean by that? When the previous act was in force, incomes from an individual were taxed only when it accrues in, or it's received in, or it is earned in Ghana.
Okay.
Meaning, if an individual earns an income out of the jurisdiction of Ghana and does not bring it in, it becomes difficult to target it for tax purposes.
You mean if the individual stays in Ghana but works or gets revenue from outside? Is that it?
Yes. So we're looking at a tax resident person, a person who is by law required to file and pay his or her taxes or the entity's taxes in Ghana.
Okay.
And the entity or the person is having an income being earned out of the jurisdiction of Ghana under the previous enactment. Until it is brought in, received in, it becomes difficult to tax it. So in 2015, major changes were done.
Okay.
And based on that, now income earned irrespective of where it exists should be disclosed for tax purposes in Ghana, so long as you are mandated to file and pay your taxes in Ghana.
Okay. So how would this benefit the country was the second leg of the question.
This came up to widen the tax base of the base of the income that previously were not being taxed. So the tax base literally has been widened, bringing in more sources of income for tax purposes.
Okay, let me stay with you and then ask you, how will GRA determine which foreign income to tax?
Yes, so we're looking at foreign financial assets or any financial assets that a person is holding out there in other jurisdictions. We may look at the incomes that are to be taxed.
Okay.
So for the Income Taxes Act, we look at the exemptions, and once an income is not an exempt income, then it should be reviewed for tax purposes. So when we extend it into the arena of the offshore financial assets, we're looking at any arrangement that yield ownership or contractual relationship that for which consideration or gain will be due a person. And it comes in the form of either cash, certificates of deposit, bonds, mutual funds, and other forms of investment portfolios, irrespective of the combinations of it. So long as it is owned by a tax resident person of Ghana, it should be disclosed for tax purposes.
All right. So let me, Mr. Nati, let me come to you and then ask you your opinion. The foreign income tax on resident Ghanaians. Could you shed more light on this as well?
All right. Thank you very much. To add to what my colleague has just said, individuals, we have three sources of income. Your employment income, your business income, and then your investment income.
Okay.
So as he said, the Act 592 was restricting it to incomes that are accrued in Ghana, brought into or received in Ghana. But now we have gone worldwide. So if you are a resident person and you earn income either from employment outside the country or a business outside the country or an investment you have outside the country, we have to bring all these things to consolidate them and then file returns on them for tax assessment.
Okay. Does the day that one spends in a country determine whether he's a resident or not?
Sure. For residency, we have a lot of things that determine a person's residency. So for individual, we look at if the person has stayed in the country for cumulatively 183 days or more, he becomes a resident person. If the person has an abode, a resident abode here, or he's a citizen of Ghana and has not lived outside the country for continuously more than 365 days, that person is a resident person. When we talk of businesses, partnership, if one of the partners is a resident person in Ghana, that partnership qualifies to be a resident partnership, and therefore it can be taxed on worldwide basis. Also, if it's a company becomes a resident company if it is registered under the laws of Ghana or it is incorporated in Ghana, then it's a resident company. Or managerial decisions are taken from Ghana. The company may be outside, but if managerial decisions and running of the company takes place in Ghana, then it can also qualify as a resident company. If it is a trust, if one of the trustees is in Ghana or the trust is operating from our territory, it can also fit in as a resident trust. And these companies and individuals, which collectively we call them person. In tax, when we say a person can be an individual, an entity, a corporate body, anything. So these persons, so far as they have residency in Ghana, they are supposed to file their taxes here and pay their taxes here. Okay. And now we are going worldwide. So if you fall into any of these categories that I've mentioned, then your income is supposed to be taxed worldwide.
All right. Mr. Osu, talking about the 183 days, if somebody spends 182 days and relocates, I mean, that means the person has served the tax. Is that it?
Yes. So, as it's been defined, if a person's count of days in Ghana does not meet the 183 threshold, for instance, I am a citizen of Ghana, but I don't keep a permanent home in Ghana and spend more than 183 days outside and less here, then I'm not a resident person for tax purposes in Ghana. So my income should not be reviewed for that particular year. And let me extend it by saying that the tax resident status is not a static activity. So every year it should be reviewed to get a person's status, whether it has changed or it still remains the same. Okay. And this must be disclosed by the individual or the person that is supposed to pay taxes to GRA.
Okay, so what's the process for this disclosure?
Yes, this disclosure takes place through the filing of tax returns. And every year, GRA sets aside the month of April for tax and good governance to educate and to inform all taxpayers about their obligation and the need to file taxes. So through this activity, every information needed for tax purposes should be disclosed by every taxpayer to GRA.
Okay, Mr. Usu, Mr. Nati, let me come to you. I mean, you mentioned April being the month where you expect the public or businesses to file their tax returns and all that. I want to find out from you, corporate tax, are there any extensions available?
Okay, so as you said, April is the month for which we expect everybody to file your individual taxes as well as the corporate taxes. But the law says 4 months after your basis period. So a company can have a basis period that is different from 1st January to 31st December. In that case, the company will file its tax after 4 months of the end of the basis period. So if its basis period is from July to June, then it is not required to file a tax in April, as we are saying now. But individuals, every individual, human beings, then PI, which we call the PIT, personal income tax, that one, your basis period is from 1st January to 31st December. So for 2023, it is due at by end of April. Now, yes, there is opportunity for you to have extension of filing of your returns. But then there are rules.
Okay.
If for one reason or the other you are unable to file your returns by the end of April, you have to officially write to the Commissioner General requesting for extension.
Okay.
And it must be done before the end of the time that you are supposed to file. So for instance,
Meaning
we
the
have
end of the year?
No, we have April, 30th April as the deadline. You don't wait and after the 30th April has expired before you write to Commissioner General that for reason A or B, I am unable to file my returns to extend. You have to do it before the end of the time of filing. So we have 2 days more. By Tuesday, the month of April will be ending. If you can't file your returns by the end of April, by now you should write to the Commissioner General. And the Commissioner General will look at the reasons you have assigned to
not being able to.
Not being able to. And if it sees them tenable, he is able to extend them. Depending on their nature, he may give you a week or a month, up to 2 months, 60 days, cumulatively up to 60 days. You can give somebody 2 weeks, and the 2 weeks he will not be able to file and still ask for extension. But the cumulative extension that the Commissioner General can give is up to 60 days.
What are the required documents or the information that are needed to be able to file your tax returns?
Okay, so for individuals, as I said earlier on, you have 3 sources of income. You may have employment income, and so in that case, we are looking at the salaries you are paid. We have what we call Form 51, which shows your monthly income and the taxes that you pay or are deducted from source. You complete that, and then when you go to our website too, we have the PIT form, personal income tax form.
Okay.
It has all the fields and the needed things that you need. For VAT, people normally find it difficult attaching the document. We don't expect you to attach the invoices right when you are filing, because there will be audits and things, and then that's where we will look. But documents that we expect are the financial statement. You have to file your financial statement. You have to file receipts, anything that supports the incomes that you have earned. You have to accompany that when you are filing your returns.
All right, and also, how can taxpayers obtain the necessary forms and the guidance? I mean, in case somebody wants to file this or tax returns and by this guidance, I mean, where do such people go?
So previously, filing of returns was a little tedious because you have to walk to the Ghana Revenue Authority office and then file in person.
Okay.
But now we have gone digital. Now you can sit in the comfort of your home and then file your returns. You go to our website, the forms are there. But now we have what we call the taxpayer portal that you can sign on. And when you go there and you log in after signing on and you open, the returns are all there. Those that relate to you, you just select and then you file. It will populate you. It will open for you, and then you populate it with the figures that are required, and then so you don't go to the office and pick a hard copy, return and fill. No, you go to the system and then you open. It is there. I will take you through the process later.
All right, so we'll come to that. Let me move now to Mr. Wilson. Find out from you what the rates are on this foreign income tax. What is the rate?
Okay. To appreciate this, we have to look at the procedure for the review of the returns when it is submitted.
Okay.
So like I stated, under the new Act 896, it consolidates all sources of income. Both the domestic income and the foreign income that has been earned by a taxable person.
Okay.
So we will first look at the assessable income, which will be derived, and all necessary deduction outgoings. For instance, expenses or capital allowance or personal reliefs would be considered. This would lead us to chargeable income. Then, once chargeable income is derived, then in case of an individual, then the individual rates, which is graduated, will be applied to the income. In this case, you realize that both the foreign and the local income has been consolidated. So we don't have a single rate being applied. If it is a company, then the corporate rate that prevails will be used to derive the tax thereof.
Okay. And how are you ensuring that those who are expected to pay these taxes comply?
Okay, so through various activities that are being implemented concurrently. So we've reached out through the media engagement like we are doing here, informing taxpayers and anyone who has an offshore account or income to come and disclose it for tax purposes. Also, Ghana has arrangements with other jurisdictions, and currently we are receiving these information on the financial account that are being held in foreign jurisdictions by taxable or resident persons in Ghana. So this information will be analyzed, and GRA is going to reach out to such account holders to enable them file their returns and also pay taxes on. In line with this activity too, Commissioner General has launched a voluntary disclosure program, which is based on Section 74 of the Revenue Administration Act. Literally, the section expects that if your previous filings that or disclosures that you made, you were not able to disclose all your information. Maybe through an error, inadvertently, or whichever whatever happened, you have the option to come under Section 74 of the Revenue Administration Act and to purge yourself by disclosing this income. So in the area of the offshore information or the foreign accounts. A voluntary disclosure program, a special one, has been put in place to enable everyone who is having an offshore account or income to come and disclose before Commissioner General discovers that information and apply it for tax purposes. And once you come under this umbrella, you have the privilege to enjoy a moratorium where no penalties would be imposed on you, including other sanctions that might have been applied in case you fail to come. Under the voluntary disclosure, you are free. It's only the taxes that would result that you will be made to pay.
Okay. So I'll be coming back to you, since you've mentioned penalties, I'll be coming back to you for us to look at the penalties. But then let me move to Mr. Nate and find out from you, Mr. Nate, how do you verify the accuracy of returns, of tax returns, and what are the consequences for incorrect information?
All right. So the system, when you put out the information into the system, it is only errors on the surface that the system will be able to detect. So if it was supposed to be 100,000 that you are earning and you put there 50, the system will not be able to detect. But the Commissioner General has the right, through our compliance activities, to cross-check on the returns you have filed, whether they are accurate or not, either through audit or other information sources. As he is saying, for the voluntary disclosure one, we have the data now. So if you put anything there and it is not corresponding to what the data is saying, we can come after you. And so we have compliance teams that go around, check the system, randomly pick returns, and check whether the returns that are filed and what is on the ground are the same. Or you may be subjected to audit. If you're a company or a trust or a partnership, we can come and audit you and see whether whatever information you have put on your returns and have filed to us is the same as what should have been. And if we find out that there are deviations, then sanctions will apply. Maybe you have to talk a little about the sanctions in detail. If you put an information that is not accurate, it means you are deceiving or misleading the public officer or a tax officer, and it has its sanction. If you don't file, there's a sanction. And whatever you do, any flouting of the law has sanctions. From Section 70 of the Revenue Administration Act up to 80, we have outlined all the sanctions over there that if you violate the rules, we will apply them to you. Maybe take them one after the other.
Okay, so let's go through the sanctions. Maybe you start first, and then I'll come to Mr. Owusu.
Okay, so Section 72, if you fail to maintain records, is an offense.
To maintain records
of your activities, your business activities, your income, if you fail to maintain those records, it's an offense. And if the Commissioner General finds that you have not, and we are able to detect, you are going to pay about 75% of the revenue that, or when we say revenue in tax balance, is the tax that we are missing as a result of you not maintaining the records. 75%.
Why is it a crime?
Every business is supposed to maintain records. Every person who is earning income per the law is supposed to maintain records in Ghana here. And so if you don't do that, you are violating the law and you have to be sanctioned. Otherwise, people will do everything and there will be no trace. So you have to, the law requires that you put in place records that the Commissioner General will have to verify. And the records must be maintained for at least 6 years.
What will be the motivation for an entity not to maintain these records?
So records are not only for tax purposes. Records are even good for your own self, your business, to be able to know how your business is growing. The investors need the records. Those who have invested in the business, they also need the records. especially when the management is different from the ownership.
Yeah.
You need to maintain records, and that is when you know that you are growing or you are going down, and then what remedial measures you have to take, you take. And for tax purposes, it's mandatory. The law requires that you maintain records for us to be able to know exactly what you have done, what you have earned, and what tax you are supposed to pay otherwise. And so when we move on, Section 73 also talks about filing of the returns, which we are saying is earning by Tuesday. If you don't file the return, there is a penalty of 500 Ghana cedis for not filing, and 10 cedis every day the return remains outstanding.
Okay.
All other returns. But then when it comes to somebody who is engaged in CST, that one, the penalty is 2,000.
CST,
Communication Service Tax.
Okay.
Communication Service Tax. So if you are into that space and you don't file your return, the penalty is 2,000 Ghana cedis for not filing, and then 500 Ghana cedis paid every day that the return remains outstanding. If you don't file. So that is the penalty for non-filing. When you come to Section 74, false or misleading information. So if you underdeclare, or you...
What you earn. If you underdeclare...
What you earn, or what you are supposed to account for. So as my brother said, you have been filing your returns religiously, but you have not been adding the offshore businesses that you have done, incomes that you have... You have not been truthful. You have misled the authority, and therefore you have sanctions over that. And that the penalty is 100% of the tax shortfall. So if the tax is 1 billion, you are going to pay 2 billion when it is seen to be deliberate. But if it is not deliberate, maybe it's an error. And then it comes down
How do you know? I mean, how would the tax official know this is deliberate or not?
So, as I said, we do audit. And when we do audit, you see that this income is glaring here. And then the person has decided that I am doing this, I'm putting only this here for tax purposes. And then I'm putting this here for my employer or the business owner. We are able to detect. And so if it is deliberate, it's 100%. If it's by error, maybe computational error or something messed up, the system, maybe it is calculated by a machine, and unfortunately, machines can sometimes mess up, and therefore you are not able to file the right amount. If that is the case, then it is not an intention to evade the tax. In that case, the penalty is 30% of the tax shortfall. Okay. And you continue.
All right. And then
also, it is not ending there.
Before you proceed, let me find out from Mr. Usu, these penalties that he's mentioning, are they different for those on the foreign income tax, or they also face the same penalties?
Okay, so let me say in taxation we don't discriminate, but let me do a top up on what my brother stated before I will come in here. So when we say deliberate or indeliberate, the law says that after the taxes has been computed, the margin of error between what you disclose and what the actual taxes is. If it is between 30% to 50%, then the law considers it to be non-deliberate. Or
no, come again. Let's get that one clear. What you are saying is that if you're supposed to
you filed your return, yes, you've disclosed a certain income that is
let's
how
say,
much
you disclose 100,000.
Yes, and out of that, maybe 2,000 is the tax thereof. Yeah. Now, Commissioner General or GRA would do the review, and the tax that would come out of it after all analysis and become the acceptable tax. The margin of error between this tax and what you declared would determine whether it is deliberate or non-deliberate.
So the
law says that the margin of error.
So the margin is what will be used to determine whether you deliberately refuse to declare or refuse to pay what you expected to pay. Is that it?
Yes. So if the margin is between 30 to 50%, then the law considers it to be non-deliberate.
Okay.
If it is 50% and above, then the law considered this error to be a deliberate. So then the sanctions that he made mention of would apply accordingly.
All right, I get you, but I mean, playing the devil's advocate, I mean, there could be genuine reasons why, somebody could also declare or have between 50 to 60 or 50 to 70 error. Let's admit, it could also be from a genuine reason.
Yes, those are qualitative analysis. However, that can be played in a nice way and it will fit. But like I said, for non-discriminatory purposes, then the standard has been set right. And that is why he also stated that if per one or two reasons you cannot meet the filing of the returns, and also to put on records, you can amend your return before it is actually reviewed. So
that means the GRA, you are not too strict. There are some leeways where businesses or individuals can take advantage of. Is that the case?
Yes. So the taxpayer is actually the king, and we are there to serve them. They are also obliged to ensure that they file the right information to aid this process. And that is why the law also allows review of your returns as and when necessary, so long as it falls within the time frame.
Okay.
Good. And like I also stated, we don't discriminate. So the sanctions apply when we do review of your domestic income.
Okay.
The same applies because the income is being consolidated to derive an accessible income and a chargeable income for tax purposes. So the same rate applies thereof.
Okay. All right. So, Senate, you were giving us more of those penalties. Some are very deterrent. You proceed with the others.
Yes. So, within the same section 74 tells us that apart from these percentages of penalty, you can also be prosecuted, and you can be jailed for between 2 years and 5 years, or even fine you the monetary penalty and also go to jail both. Then when you go to section 78, failing to comply with the tax law, now we are educating you. If after all this education, you still fail to comply with the tax law, then there are sanctions for you to face. We have between 1,000 penalty units and 2,500 penalty units. And a penalty unit is 12 Ghana cedis. And also, you can also face imprisonment between 2 and 5 years for not responding to the call for you to file your tax returns, or misleading or falsifying, whatever you do that makes the tax suffer. You have to face these sanctions.
All right. So my next question is that when you are going to do your tax audit, do you sit down with the individuals and both of you, maybe you and then the entity, you sit together and then go through the documents, or it's something that you go and collect and then you do your own independent assessment and then come back to tell them that, after our audit, we realized that you underdeclared or you didn't pay the taxes that you were supposed to pay?
So it's both way. Sometimes we take the document, we assess them, but before we come out with our findings, we will sit down with you, tell you, these are what we have, the gaps we have seen. Respond to them.
Okay, so you give them...
Yes, we give you the opportunity to respond.
How many days?
It depends. So bring this document to support this claim. Then you bring it. If you are not bringing it, we even give time that we don't rush in concluding our audits. We give you the opportunity to respond to the audit queries and everything, and we agree on figure. But when it becomes difficult for us to agree, then we can sometimes go ahead and write our report and ask you that you petition against it.
So, okay, that's noted. That's well noted. That's well noted. Mr. Usu, how do you ensure that a citizen, okay, who's in Ghana or a resident in Ghana who derives revenue from, let's say, UK, doesn't pay taxes there and also pay in Ghana? So how do you ensure there is no double taxation?
Okay. So after the tax has been derived and you have a tax credit, maybe the income that you earned in UK, like you stated, you paid taxes on, you'll be allowed that tax credit before the difference you'll be required to pay it thereof. So through the review...
No, come again. I mean, so if I get you right, you mean if someone is expected to pay, let's say, 20,000 worth of tax, and the UK government, let's say, or pay assessment, the person is supposed to pay 20,000, and the person pays, let's say, 17,000 in the UK. The difference of 3,000 is what you make the person pay. Is that it?
That is it. So you are actually allowed to take off what has been paid in UK already, then the difference you pay. Where it's become the same, then you don't pay anything.
And what if it's more?
If it is more,
would you pay the difference?
The rate applicable in Ghana would be what we shall use, and that's the effective rate. And the law does not allow it to go beyond the effective rate being applied in Ghana.
Okay, so you're saying that if, and this is a hypothetical situation here. Yeah, so if I'm to pay 20,000 and let's say I pay 17,000 in the UK, the difference of the 2,000 per your assessment, I would have to now file again, using the document that I paid in the UK to say that I paid 70,000 there. So the difference of 3,000, I'm bringing it to GRA to complete it.
Yeah. So when you file your returns, including the foreign and offshore information, your tax credits and other details should be part of the information that you are going to provide. Then the audit team will now come in, do the review, and if the analysis prove that, like you said, you paid 17,000 in UK, and our Ghana analysis, the GRA analysis, is yielding 20,000, then the difference of the 3,000 will be what the GRA would require that you pay to Ghana.
Okay, but then the residents, the foreign tax, is it paid in cedis or dollars, or pounds or euros?
Yes, it will be calculated in cedis. So
using the BOG rate?
Except situations where the person has, or the entity has properly been mandated to transact in foreign currency. Otherwise, all these analysis or activities are CD denominated. Okay. So the offshore balance will be translated into CDs using the BOG rate prevailing.
All right, so you're still watching Iron Port. I understand the lines are buzzing, so we'll go for a break and then we'll come back and open the phone lines. You're still watching Iron Port. We're discussing the filing of returns and taxation of resident persons in Ghana by the Ghana Revenue Authority. And I have in the studios two gentlemen, Michael Edu Owusu. He is a Chief Revenue Officer, Exchange of Information Unit at the Ghana Revenue Authority. I also have Dominic Nate. He is the Head of Monitoring Domestic Revenue Division at the Free Zones Board. We're going for a quick break. We'll be right back.
Guys, now I'm tired. I'll go on a date with whoever gets here first.
Princess, really? Okay, I come.
Shut up!
Mame, Boss, fill my tank with Super XP Ron 95.
Fill up with Super XP Ron 95 and Diesel XP high performance products from Goyle.
Sorry, Tony got here first, so I'm stepping with him.
Oh, cut him. Hey, go for mommy.
Choose Super XP Ron 95 and Diesel XP for an energizing driving experience. Always go for Goyle Super XP Ron 95. Goyle, good energy.
Electricity, then pay your taxes. Yeah. Our taxes, our future.
Because you see, without our taxes, we wouldn't have good roads, good schools, better hospitals, street lights, and other very important social amenities. When we pay our taxes, we give our children free and quality education. Talga, my money too small. Why should I pay my tax? Look, small. Salifo, it doesn't matter how small or big your business or income is. You still have to pay your taxes. The little taxes from each and every one of us, when put together, could give your community clean water or that deprived school with tables and chairs. Please pay your taxes. It is your responsibility. It is your civic duty. It is the law.
Impressive factory. If only I had listened to you, I wouldn't have been in this mess. That devastating fire virtually wiped out the whole factory and my warehouse.
Remember my misfortunes last year? Serene Insurance Asset All Risk Fire policy that I took were there to pay for my damaged stocks in the warehouse. And my machines that were affected by the floods have been replaced. My accident vehicle is back on the road thanks to Serene Insurance motor policy. Currently, my goods are on the high seas, covered with their marine cargo insurance policy. I was just telling Ajima about Serene Insurance.
Oh, Ajima,
tell him more.
As a road contractor, I make sure I do my contractors all risk insurance for the projects and then workers' compensation for all the workers on site. With Serene Insurance, they will make sure they will cover your unknown tomorrow today.
Serene Insurance, a new face of insurance. Call us now.
MPS Terminal 3 is Africa's new state-of-the-art container terminal at Tema Port. For manufacturers, agro-processors and traders, the new port means business can be done faster. This infrastructure boost will improve Ghana's port handling capacity, connect more trading routes, and oil the engine of growth for the economy, creating greater opportunities across all sectors as Africa's markets merge and become the largest trading bloc globally. MPS, we connect, you thrive.
Business and life can be like the sea sometimes. Sometimes serene, sometimes calm, sometimes turbulent, and at times it brings the unexpected. However it is like, trust Phoenix Insurance for your home, car, business, and marine insurance needs. Call 0302 246 319 or 0243 690 492.
At Phoenix, you experience a delightful service delivered with wisdom.
So you welcome back from the break. We're discussing the filing of returns and taxation of resident persons in Ghana with officials from the Ghana Revenue Authority. It's now time to activate the phone lines, and the numbers you can call 0205 528353. The numbers have been displayed on your screen, so you can call and join the discussion. In the meantime, we have some messages here, so I would like to go straight to them. First one, this one says, Iron Port, I would like to know if your panelists are aware of the Ghana-UK DTC agreement. If they are, then they must explain the fairness of the taxation of citizens and foreign income earners. Yao from Tema. Let me also read this. This one says, good evening. How does GRA come up with income tax liabilities of individuals? Are there any repercussions of not paying taxes after filing and generating tax bills and making payments after due time frame? In the meantime, let's go on the phone lines and welcome Yao from Tema. Hello, Yao. Good evening and thanks for calling.
Good evening, sir.
Yes, go on with your submission, Yao.
I wanted to know, you asked a question earlier on regarding double taxation.
Okay.
Now, I know that it is a policy of government, but the GRA are the implementers of it. How do we sign a Ghana-UK DTC, that's a double taxation confab, when we know that there are very few Ghanaians who live in England who are really doing great business? Okay. Whereas, look at the huge British companies in Ghana who don't pay taxes to us. They get all manner of freebies from government to make profit, and we are the ones who have to pay our meager earnings tax on it, both there and in Ghana. As they were saying, if somebody has to pay 20,000 and he pays 17,000 in England, you go and pay the rest 3,000, the tax for the 3,000 here. How do we benefit? How does Ghana benefit to give UK free taxation for doing business here, and yet our government decided to say that if you live in Ghana, you have a shop in England, you pay tax on it. How does it benefit us? Is it not part of this colonization mindset that we have still carried on since 1957?
Right. Okay. Yeah, thank you very much for calling. Let me go on the phone. Let me read some more messages because so you can try and then answer all of them. This one from Ohima from Tema. She says, good evening, Iron Port. Great show. I would like to find out if tax for foreign income is supposed to take a retrospective effect, and then has implementation begun? If yes, when? And she continues, it appears the system forces you to download the payroll template every month when filing for pay as you earn. Any reason for this? She's asking. And then she's also asking, is there an alternative to this? So,
okay.
Mr. Nati, maybe you want to start first?
So, the downloading of, let me look at the penalty first. Okay. If you...
But Yao called. I don't know whether you got Yao's question and if you could answer that first.
That one.
Okay, you answer Yao's. Okay, but go ahead with that.
There are penalties for not paying the taxes. Okay. Section 80 of the RAA says that between 200 penalty units and then 2,000 currency points. And also imprisonment, you can be imprisoned for not paying your tax. You may file your returns all right, but if you don't go ahead and make payment of the tax that is due, you could be prosecuted and jailed between 6 months and 1 year. Yes, so depending on what the judge will say. And so we also look at, someone also asked why they download every time you want to file the PAYE, you have to download. It is a monthly payment. Okay. So anytime you go into the system, if you are registered for that tax type, it will give you the download because we do not know how many people have left your company that you have to add up. Okay. And how many people you have re-engaged that you have to add up. So anytime you are going to that download will come for you to download. And if it is the same, you go ahead and file what you have been filing.
All right, okay, that's fine. I'll come to you, Mr. Usu, but let me go on the phone lines and all the way from the Volta region, we have Maxwell. Hello, Maxwell. Good evening and thank you for calling.
Yeah, good evening, boss. Thank you for this nice program. Please, can you hear me?
Yes, proceed with your submission.
Yeah, please, I wanted to find out from the officers over there about the tax issue. Let's assume I'm a government worker and I've taken a loan for a business. and they are deducting the income tax from my salary, and I'm using the same money for business. Should I pay tax again? That's my first question. The second question is that why can't GRA support business before they will be chasing us for paying off tax? Because some businesses, you go for loan. You go for loan before you invest into the business. The business doesn't grow. You didn't pay your loan. Then they'll be chasing you to pay tax. Where would you get the money to pay the tax? Where the business didn't get the ground yet. And secondly, when the company collapse, what are their support for that company that collapse, that have been paying tax earlier on before collapse? What are their support for that particular business to grow up? Okay. That's my question. And all
right, Maxwell, thank you for calling. Your points are well made. Maxwell, your points are well made. So Maxwell wants to find out, is there any support system for businesses? And if a business has always paid its tax, and it collapses, is there any support from the GRA for such a business? That's what Maxwell wants to find out, all the way from the Volta region.
All right, so let me start from where he started from. Okay. That he's an employee, and then he's paying his PAYE, all right. Yeah. He goes for loan, and then he's using the loan to do business, and he's paying the loan from whatever income he's earning as a PAYE. Yeah. The issue is we have allowable deductions. So if you take a loan and you are using it for business with the proper documentations, before you declare your profit or before you arrive at the profit that will be taxed, there is a deduction for the loan interest and the loan and the interest that you are paying. So it is the profit you make that is taxed. So if you don't make a profit, we don't tax you. Okay. So the notion that I have taken loan and I'm doing business and you are taxing me is neither here nor there. The issue is before you arrive at your profit, you are allowed to take out all allowable deductions. Okay. It is not only the loan interest. You may have other expenses that you have incurred. You may take all of them out before arriving at the profit. It is the profit that we tax.
Well noted.
And also, the support is, GRA as an entity, we are just implementers of the law. The supports have to come from the government policies. So government may make policies that, okay, graduates, if you employ so percentage number of graduates, this is a relief for you that you can deduct. If you are a beginner and you are below 35 years and you start a business, this is a relief for you. So all those reliefs are there. But asking GRA to give you financial support in terms of that one, until the lawmakers put it in the law, we as GRA have no power to execute that.
Okay, I know there are tax reliefs as well that people can, and businesses, I think they can also apply for them.
So the tax reliefs are for individuals. The allowable expenses are for business, but the tax reliefs are for individuals. Okay. And if you permit me to go through,
so we'll come to that. Sure. We'll come to the relief so that because there are people who do not even know the processes that they need to go through in order to assess some of these reliefs. So we'll come to that. In the meantime, Mr. Osu, you have some questions that you wanted to respond to.
Yes, I want to look at the DTC, double tax agreements. I want to start by saying that Ghana has various double tax agreements with a lot of countries, and the list can be found on the Ghana Revenue Authority's website. Okay. Now, these treaties or agreements are negotiated for mutual benefit. Okay. So it helps to facilitate business and also transactions across boundaries. Okay. And for the UK tax residents who are doing businesses in Ghana, they would have to assess a treaty benefit that were agreed for them. And Ghanaians tax resident persons who are also doing business in the UK, when they are being reviewed in UK, then they will look at the treaty benefits that Ghana has negotiated on their behalf over there. So it's a double-edged sword to ensure that no business person on either side is
double tax
or suffers unduly. Okay, so when we bring it to the foreign income taxation, that is why the tax credits that is being given to a person having an offshore account will be allowed that deduction in Ghana before the difference will be made up onto the state.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. So let's move on to the issue of reliefs. I know there are some reliefs that individuals can assess, especially those who pay corporate taxes and all that. Walk us through some of these reliefs and also the processes that one needs to go through in order to assess these reliefs.
All right. So, in order to lessen the tax burden on individuals, the government has given some reliefs, and we have categorized them into two. We have upfront relief, and then we have reliefs that you have to file at the end of the year before you can assess them. The first is marriage and responsibility relief.
Okay.
So it is granted to someone who is married and is responsible for the spouse, for the upkeep of the spouse. So you should be the one who is providing for your spouse before you assess that relief, and it is 1,200 per annum. If you are not married, or you are a divorcee, or a widow or a widower, and you are taking care of 2 or more children, you still qualify to take that responsibility relief, which is the 1,200 per year. Now, if you have children that are in school in Ghana, you can also take child education relief, which is 600 per child for a maximum of 3 children. So you take 1,800 relief for the 3 children at the end of the year. We also have aged dependents. So if your parents are alive and you are taking care of them and they are above 60 years, each of them is entitled to 1,000 Ghana cedis. So you can take a relief to take care of your parents. So the 2 of them, a maximum of 2, will be 2,000. And if you are...
Okay, 60, I'll come to you on that. Please hold your word there. Let me go on the phone lines now and welcome Jerry from Medina. Hello, Jerry. Good evening, and thank you for calling.
Good evening, sir. I want to ask a question. Although it may not be directly related to the tax returns, it still has to do with tax. And I'm particularly talking about the betting tax. Do I have your platform to talk about this, to ask you questions concerning?
What tax? Come again. You said what tax?
The winnings, the deductions on betting tax. There's this inconsistency with this application that I thought I should bring to the notice.
Okay, Jerry. Today we are not discussing betting tax. I think we discussed it some time ago. But you can send us a WhatsApp message and then we'll get a response from you. Okay.
Okay.
All right. Yeah. So send us a WhatsApp. We'll get a response from you definitely. Okay. So, Mr. Dati.
All right. So, if you are 60 years and above and you are still working, you also pay tax. You have a relief of 1,500 per annum. And we also have one important thing, that mortgage interest. If you are a worker filing your returns and paying your taxes, and you happen to apply for a mortgage to acquire your residential house, and you are paying, the interest on this mortgage is also available for you to take as a relief, so that you deduct that from your salary before the rest is taxed. One thing out there is that people think the amounts that I've mentioned, you just take them as income. No. We set them aside from your income, and then the rest is tax. So, for instance, if the total of tax relief that you are going to get is 5,000, and your income is 15,000, instead of taxing your 15,000, we will deduct 5,000 from it and tax only 10,000. So your tax burden is reduced. Okay. Instead of you paying tax on the whole 15,000, you'll be paying tax on 10,000. So that is how the relief works. If you are a person with disability, you are entitled to 25% of your assessable income as tax relief. So if your total income is 100,000, 25% of it will be set aside, and then 75% is what will be taxed.
Okay. So let me go on the phone lines again and welcome Timothy. Good evening, Timothy, and thanks for calling.
All right. My question has to do with the tax incentive. I want to ask the boss that why is that when people apply for more than one incentive, they end up granting only one?
Come again. Like, so when they apply for how long? Make your question clearer.
When they apply for one or more incentive, tax incentive,
okay,
they end up granting only one. I remember where I'm working, I educated those who are working there to that they should apply because me, I haven't qualified.
Okay, so you mean when they apply for different reliefs, they are only given one? That's what you mean?
Yes, but at times they qualify for, let's say, 3 or 4, but they only grant them one.
But do they apply? I mean, do they apply for them? You may qualify, yes, but if you don't apply, you won't get it. So do they apply for them?
Yes, please.
They apply, okay. I'm sure
okay, so
Mr. Latte will respond to that.
That will be unfortunate because everybody, we don't discriminate. Everybody is entitled to a relief. But then you have to show evidence of your words being in school before you can benefit from that. You should tell us you are truly married. What is your marriage certificate? Yes. And if your parents, you are taking for your parents, you show us evidence of their age, whether they are 60 or more.
Okay.
So if you far and we select only few and grant you, then it means the documentation you produced is supporting only those few. Okay. That's the only reason. But apart from that, whatever is due you is granted you.
Okay. Yes.
Yeah. To add a bit to what Mr. Nate stated, in the case of the child education relief, it's only one parent who can claim. So a husband and a wife, if the husband claims it, the wife cannot.
Okay.
And these are always supported by records. So once the analysis reveals that it's already been claimed, then naturally you, the last person to make that claim, you are not going to get it.
Well, Mr. Nate, there have been issues have been raised about the fact that the reliefs are not encouraging, if I should put it that way, because there are those who say they pay huge taxes, and then if they are going to get relief, then they would have to get 1,002 per annum, which is like 100 cedis per month, and because of that, people are not even encouraged to seek these reliefs.
This question, I think, as I said, GRA, we are implementers of the law.
It's still government.
Yes, this is government. If government says we should give you 50% of your income as relief, we will abide by that.
Okay.
If they say we shouldn't give you relief, we will abide by that. Whatever the government says to be prudent is what we will go for.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much. So you also want to come in on that?
Okay. And also, you realize the rate has changed over the years. It has actually improved.
Oh, okay.
And what has accounted for this? It is the improvement in the tax payment and tax collection procedures or the structure that has allowed it. So we should rather encourage each and every one of us that the more we become compliant, the more such rebates and reliefs can be extended.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And linked to it is record keeping, which will allow proper analysis to
and proper audits
to be made.
Okay. So I will stay with you, Mr. Osu, and then find out from you how will the GRA address concerns about privacy and then also confidentiality in these audits that you carry out?
Thank you. So when it comes to privacy of the confidentiality of information, the Revenue Administration Act actually requires every tax officer to observe a standard of keeping information confidential. And even within the circles of GRA, you cannot just disclose information anyhow. Now, GRA has also signed, or Ghana has signed, agreements with OECD and jurisdictions that have signed the multilateral competent authority agreements. And under that, we ensure that there is a high level of confidentiality and data safeguard procedures.
Okay.
For Ghana to even start receiving this data that we are looking at, various reviews conducted by OECD to ensure that we have the structures, we have the equipment to enable that standard to be observed were passed by Ghana before the information started coming. Because upon the passing of the Automatic Exchange of Information, Financial Account Information Act, the Bank Secrecy Acts were repealed, meaning GRA or any other jurisdiction that is receiving and exchanging information would have to comply with data safety and security standards, for which Ghana is holding religiously to it.
Okay.
So taxpayers are rest assured that their data that is in the domain of GRA is properly secured and it's not at risk, whether at rest or it being used. Every GRA officer has signed a bond of secrecy.
Okay. That's fine. That's good to know.
Can I add a little?
Okay.
The only instance where this information can be made available is by a competent court of jurisdiction demand, and also for statistical purposes, but not for anybody's use against anybody. We have confidentiality clauses that we are abiding by. Nobody should fear that my information will get out to the public. No, it will never get out to the public.
Okay, so we are almost through with this program. So let me spend the last 2 minutes to ask you, so what's your final message to the public and also to businesses?
Okay, so every developed country develops on taxes. So the price we pay for living in a civilized society is our taxes. And therefore, we are encouraging everybody who is earning income, whether investment income, business income, or employment income, to do well to disclose this income by filing their tax returns. The deadline is just Tuesday. So tomorrow, just take your laptop, go on to your laptop or any smartphone, go to taxpayers portal, enter your credentials, and file your returns. And that is what we'll use to develop the country. If you don't do that and we come after you, we don't want the situation where we will be sanctioning people with the penalties and taking people to court. No. GRA is a friendly institution. We want everybody to comply. The more people comply, the more revenue we get to develop the state. And then we all live happily in Ghana.
Very well. Mr. Osu, your final words.
Yes, I want to touch quickly on the retrospective application of the offshore account. The Revenue Administration Act requires that we go back 5 years plus the current year. So for the previous years, they will have to come through the voluntary disclosure. For the current year, returns, it must be disclosed as part of the return that are due for filing by Tuesday, as is been said. And I should also encourage all persons having offshore accounts to come up voluntarily and disclose to enable us assess them fairly and objectively, and Ghana will be a good place to be.
And Ghana will be a good place to be indeed. This is where we draw the curtain on this week's episode of Eye on Port. I've been doing the discussion on filing of returns and taxation of resident persons in Ghana with Mr. Edu Ewusu. He is the Chief Revenue Officer, Exchange of Information Unit at the Ghana Revenue Authority, and also Mr. Dominic Nati, Head of Monitoring Domestic Tax Revenue Division, Free Zones of the Ghana Revenue Authority. My name is Solomon Anderson. I thank you for watching, and join us same time next week.